let's get started because it is 2:16, that's on Seattle time. It's 2:16, that means we are already 1 minute late, and I'm German. That makes me nervous, okay? I gotta start on time. So, welcome everybody to our session, What's New in Office 365 Usage Reporting. My name is Ann Michaels. I'm a Product Marketing Manager for Office 365, and I am here today with the wonderful
Shilpi Sinha. I'm a Principal Program Manager in Office 365. Super excited to be here to talk about everything reporting.
So let's start with a question. Anybody here in the audience whose birthday is coming up anytime soon? Nobody? Oh, a few people, a little bit shy, our audience here today. So my husband, his birthday is coming up as well in November, on November 2nd. So, of course, the question right now is, what do I get him as a birthday present? Last year, I actually got him 2 presents. I got him a bottle of gin and a vegan cookbook. So, the day after his birthday, I left on a business trip. When I came back 2 weeks later, guess what had happened? The bottle was empty. The cookbook? He hadn't even opened it yet. So this year, I'm again getting him 2 birthday presents. 2 bottles of gin. So why is that? Why am I getting him the same birthday present as last year? And why am I getting him the bottle of gin and not another cookbook? Well, because of course I want him to use my birthday presents. Giving birthday presents to somebody who ignores them, that's not fun. I want him to enjoy my birthday present. Because also, let's be honest, I spent money on his birthday present. So of course I want him to get value out of it. Now think about Office 365. Office 365 is your investment. You have purchased Office 365 with a very specific goal in mind. You want your people to be more productive. You want to enable them to be creative and work together securely. And of course that means that you want them to use the services because you want them and your organization to get value out of Office 365. You want to enable a truly modern workplace. And that's why usage reporting in Office 365 is so important. Because usage reporting, usage analytics can help you with that. Usage analytics can not only help you understand how your users are using and adopting the various services in Office 365, but it can also help you to articulate the value so that you can report back to your management, so that you have an answer when your CTO asks you, what value are we getting out of Office 365? But at the same time, it also allows you to understand which of your users are not using Office 365 to the full extent yet. So you can get really targeted in your communication and training efforts. You can really prioritize where to drive for which services you want to drive adoption campaigns. And that, of course, helps you then to increase usage of Office 365 and to increase your ROI. And that is why usage reporting is so important, because it helps you, it enables you to maximize and realize the full potential of Office 365. And we have heavily been investing into that area. Since we launched the usage reporting dashboard in the admin center 18 months ago, we have continuously been adding more and more new reports. You now have access to 20 reports in the admin center. And I can already tell you, we will be adding 2 new reports to the list today. And of course, that also includes the Office 365 Adoption Content Pack in Power BI, which enables you to visualize and analyze your Office 365 usage data, leveraging the rich analytics capabilities that we have in Power BI. So let's do a show of hands. How many of you are already using the Adoption Content Pack in Power BI today? That's quite a few. That is great. Let us actually jump into the product and show it to you, because the Content Pack is available to all of you today. So you can instantiate it today, and I will show you later how to do that, and you can really already take advantage of it. So what you're seeing here is the dashboard of the Content Pack. When you instantiate the Content Pack, this is what you will first land on. And this pre-built dashboard helps you understand how your users are using the various parts of Office 365, because it gives you a cross-product view. And it also helps you to understand how adoption has changed over time, because for most of the reports, we are bringing in data for the last 12 months. And the whole idea of the Content Pack is really to help you drive digital transformation in your organization and to help you to enable your end users to use Office 365 better. Because the usage reports in the admin center, they are a good starting point. But many of you have shared that you want to further visualize and analyze the data and really get granular. And that is exactly what the Content Pack helps you with. So the dashboard is split up into 4 areas: adoption, communication, collaboration, and activation. And each of these areas give you more specific usage insights. Adoption, for example, gives you a high-level overview of how your people are using and adopting Office 365. When you click on any of the tiles, you can get to deeper information. And the Adoption Overview Report, this is a really good starting point for you to understand how your organization is adopting Office 365, because it shows you your number of enabled users, this is your licensed users, in comparison to the number of active users. And you can also see how many returning users you have, as well as first-time users every month. Now, some of you might ask yourself, what is an active user? Well, that depends, because of course the activity that you can perform in the different services vary differently. For example, I'm an active user in Exchange if I write an email, if I read an email. In OneDrive, I'm an active user if I have performed a file activity. So we have rich documentation that explain you the concept for active user for all of the services. By default, this report shows you the information at the Office 365 level, but you can also switch to a product-specific view. And we have built filters like this one into many of the reports. Oh, not working right now. Let's try this again. Just reload the page. But we have built contextual filters like this one into many of the reports so that you can really slice and dice the data to get the answers and get the information that is relevant for your organization. We will check later why this is not working in our demo tenant here right now, but let's just jump back to the dashboard right now and let's look at the other areas. Communication helps you understand how your users are using Exchange and Skype and Yammer to communicate. And then collaboration helps you to understand similarly how your people leverage OneDrive and SharePoint to collaborate with each other. Let's dive into this area because collaboration is a very interesting area. And it's a very complex area as well, because when you think about it, we have different concepts. For example, when you think about what is an active OneDrive user? An active OneDrive user is somebody who has performed a file activity. So somebody who has deleted a file, created a file, modified a file, synced a file. And that person can perform that activity either on their own account or on the account of somebody else. So for example, if I create a file on my OneDrive account, that's very obvious, makes me an active OneDrive user. But also, if Shilpi shares a document that is stored on her OneDrive account, if she shares it with me and then I modify that file, well, that makes me an active OneDrive user as well. So I can be an active OneDrive user without even uploading any files to my own OneDrive account. So then we have the concept of active accounts. What is an active account? Well, you can probably imagine that already, an account that has file activity. So if a file has been created, deleted, and so on. And that activity can be performed either by the owner of the account or by somebody else. So for example, if I upload a file to my OneDrive account, that makes my OneDrive account active. But also then, if Shilpi modifies a document that is stored on my OneDrive account, that also makes my OneDrive account active. So I can actually, or my OneDrive account can actually be active while I am on vacation. And to help you understand the full picture of collaboration in your organization, we have included a report in the content pack that shows you the number of users that collaborate on their own account. This is here the collaborated by owner number, as well as the number of users that have performed a file activity that are active on an account owned by somebody else. And this is a really good indicator for you to understand if your people use OneDrive just to store files or if they also use it to share content and to collaborate with others. We have the same report here for SharePoint. And for SharePoint, oh, the picture looks very different. We have way more people that have actually collaborated, have performed a file activity on a SharePoint site that they don't own, which is in our case here expected behavior, because this is what OneDrive stands for. It's the place for your files, but you can also, of course, use OneDrive to collaborate with other people. Then in SharePoint, we very often have the case that somebody creates a SharePoint site for the entire organization or for a department. And then, of course, we have one owner, but a lot of people that view content or modify content on that SharePoint site. So there are two ways how you can navigate the content pack. Either you can click on any of the tiles that we have on the dashboard, or you can use the tabs here at the bottom that give you access to all of the reports that are included in the content pack. So let's take a look at the Yammer user activity report. This report is especially interesting because it helps you to identify your power users. Why is that so helpful? Because power users can really help you drive adoption. Power users, they are normally the ones that know the products really well because they use them all the time. And they can be advocates for you because they can share with others how they're using the product, how to get started. And this is really powerful because they can share with their coworkers how exactly that product is helping them with their projects and with driving their desired business outcomes. And of course, if Shilpi shares with me how she is using OneDrive, that is for me way more relatable because she's working on the same areas that I do. What is also interesting in this report, so we have down here, let me point that out very quickly, this is the list where you can see your power users. Right now, this list is sorted by total activities in Yammer, but I actually always suggest if you want to identify your Yammer power users, to sort this list by total messages posted. Because when you look at power users, you want people that are really active in Yammer and post messages, and not just people that read and like messages. So when you look at the display name column here, some of you might now think, Anne, what do you mean I can identify my power users here? Where are they? So as some of you might know, we have an identity feature in the content pack as well in the usage reports that you can use to anonymize the usage reports. So in our case, we have actually done that in the admin center. We have anonymized the user level information in our reports, and that's why in here you only see a weird string, a weird combination of letters and names. What is also interesting about this report is that you can also filter it by department. And that is actually one of the big advantages in the Content Pack. Because what the Content Pack does is that it takes your user data and it combines it with the Azure Active Directory information of your users. So you can filter the information in here by department, location, and also organization. So as long as your data in Azure Active Directory is up to date, then you can get some really good insights here. So let's jump back to the dashboard, because many of you, of course, have now specific questions. Every organization is different, and you have specific questions around adoption that you want to get an answer to. The dashboard, as well as the reports, these are just templates that we created to enable you to quickly get up and running with the Content Pack. But the true power lies in the underlying data of the Content Pack. And to help you answer your questions that you have, we have made sure that you can customize the Content Pack. And there are a few ways how to do that. Jump back here. There are a few ways how to do that. Either you can take one of the reports that we have created, and then when you click on Edit, you can now use the full capabilities of Power BI to change the reports. For example, here in our Adoption Overview report, if I don't really care about returning users or first-time users, I can simply remove that information from the chart. And of course, I could also go ahead and now pin this new created chart to the live page, to my main dashboard. And here on the right, you can see all the different data sets that you have access to in the Content Pack. The second way is to click on the little plus sign here at the bottom, and then Power BI will show you a blank Power BI canvas, that way around, where you can use all the data sets to create your own reports and really get the details that you are interested in. And the third way is to open this in Power BI Desktop. When you do that, you can also bring in your own data sources. Now, of course, many of you want to share this information with somebody in your organization, maybe with your CTO, or maybe with somebody who has been tasked to driving adoption who's not an admin, like a campaign manager. You can easily do that by leveraging the built-in sharing capabilities in Power BI. Now let me show you how to get started with the Content Pack, because many of you probably want to get their hands on it. So in order to get started with the Content Pack, all you need to do is go to the Office 365 Admin Center, and then we'll go into the usage reporting page. And at the bottom, you will see a card that says Office 365 Adoption. Simply click on Get Started and enable this, and this will kick off the data processing on our side. Because the Content Pack is free. You all can use it, it's free of charge. But of course, as you can imagine, there's a lot of data processing happening in the background on our side, so we will only enable the Content Pack and get it ready for those of you that really want to use it. So by clicking on this, we now kicked off the data processing, which normally takes between 2 and 48 hours, depending on the size of your tenant, and of course also depending on how long you have been using Office 365 so far. So once that is done, we will now see a new button which says Go to Power BI. Before you click on it, go ahead and highlight or copy. We want to copy here our tenant name. And then when we click on the button, we will be taken directly into Power BI. On here, now we have to look for our Content Pack because it's a template in there. And you want to click on the Services area because the Office 365 Content Pack in Power BI is a Services Content Pack. So we'll go ahead and simply search for it in here now. And there we go, there it is. And then all I have to do is click on it, provide my tenant ID. And of course now, we all want you to be safe. We don't want anybody to have access to this data who shouldn't have. so you will be prompted for your Office 365 login again. And then we will take you to your content pack, to the pre-built dashboard that we just showed. It normally takes another 30 minutes for the dashboard to be ready, but then you can really get started with analyzing and visualizing your Office 365 usage data. So many of you have shared with us, as you have been using the content pack, that this is really great information, but that you would love to understand how other customers are using it, that you would love to see some best practices on how the content pack can really help you to drive usage and adoption. So we'd like to invite Scott up here to us on stage from Johnson Controls, who will share with us how he and the IT department at Johnson Controls are using the Office 365 content pack today. Thanks, John.
Thank you. Afternoon. So let me jump into a little bit of background about Johnson Controls real quickly here. Basically, we're a global multi-industrial company, and we're really a leader in our space, and we really focus on creating intelligent building systems. We build next-generation transport systems, and we really are building our strong energy systems. Over and above, we serve a wide range of customers in over 150 countries. We're about $37.7 billion, $38 billion. We have 120,000 employees worldwide, and we do business in 2,000 locations. So a little history for us to kind of help you build on the flavor of where our journey's been going and why I like the adoption pack so much. Basically, we started our journey as a dedicated 365 dedicated customer. And then a couple years into that process, we decided we were going to get very heavy into mergers and acquisitions. Basically, we split our company in half. We decided to merge with another company about equal our size. And then we had a lot of kind of in-between size mergers and acquisitions. So basically, what we've been through is a continuous flow of inbound and outbound data. And because we were a little bored with all of that, we decided to then split the companies just to create things more interesting for us. And then also, we decided to move from the dedicated space into the multi-tenant space to take advantage of all these great features that were really inhibiting our full adoption of the product on dedicated. So really, we're continuing to focus on the merger activities, but you know, I can stand up here now and really say we're on 365, we're done with that, we're taking advantage of all the great capabilities, and we're really starting to switch gears. As we're switching these gears, we're really going from migration-centric to adoption and value-orientated. And for me, my role within the company is I really function, and myself and my teams, we function as advocates. We really are the drivers of adoption. It's no longer about, does the service work? Is it up? Is it running? I mean, nobody cares about that. What we all care about is how is it being used within our organizations? How can we increase the use, drive value, and increase the ROI? So really, I see us as the business is struggling. There's a lot of changes. This is a very fast-paced environment, which is great. However, who's the translation specialist? That's really what we are. We translate the capabilities in 365 to really the business outcomes that we're trying to derive as a company. So my team works closely with our communications and with the business, and we really try to drive that adoption and that value into the organization. We focus on the end user productivity. It's not just good enough to use a tool. How can we be more productive using the tools? How do we separate that waste? How do we eliminate the duplicity of documents within the organization and get to that one version of truth? That's really what we want to do. We want to enable the organization to be the best we can be and to maximize our use of the tools. And then we also want to focus on what's coming next. Because the business we're outcome driven, so we always want to know what's coming down the line. And so the other thing that we do is we watch within the services and work very closely with the Microsoft teams to really look at that next wave, that next circle of release, and then we want to be able to put that in as fast as we can so that we can get value from it. And that value really comes down to maximizing the return on investment in the 365 services for us. So how do we do all this? We formed a partnership with our communications team and also within the multiple channels of engagement. So we may selfishly look at enabling productivity within the services, but we also look for opportunities to partner. And as part of that, we also strive for all services are on within our tenant. In other words, we don't want to turn them off. We want to leverage them as fast as we can. And so our philosophy is if there's not a business mandate to shut it off, leave it on. Because we're a large, multi-regional, multi-global company, and somebody out there is bound to leverage at least a piece of the service. They may not use all of it, but that's value to them, and that's a need for them that we can fill. We also want to build awareness of services and capabilities. And we do this through a change management process that's literally integrated into our release cycles. So we literally have campaigns, stories, emails going out all the time about new capabilities. We partner, we get right into our global town hall forums. We get right into getting announcements up on what we're doing there as well. We also drive engagement through targeted end user communications. So we want to be specific. If it's not about the whole organization, it's a specific group, we want to be able to target that group. And then we also want to continuously improve our process. We can all learn from our past, so we want to be continuous on that journey and make sure we're improving along the way. So some of the engagement methods that we do, we have our global intranet, which basically if you're in our company and you log in the morning, you get to see our homepage. We take advantage of that through our news carousel on there, and we also advertise through that carousel our services. We also do email campaigns, either general or targeted to specific audience. We take advantage of the large employee forums, any place that we can. We want to be involved. We want to get the word out. We have something that we refer to as a center of excellence and a community of practice. The center of excellence is really the administrative, functional portion of our services. And the community of practices are those teams within the business that are running and operating on a day-to-day basis, those services. So we form partnerships and we really keep them engaged and in the loop on what's going on in the service, but it also selfishly is a two-way feedback loop. The other thing we've done is we've created a support community, and I'm pretty proud of that. Over the years that we've had that community up and running, it's really become self-sustaining. It took a lot of effort to get the wheel in motion, to get the engagement built up, but now our end users actually go in and solve each other's problems. It's great. If only we could do that heavily across all services and IT, that would really be a powerful thing that we'd be able to do. We have digital signs, so we'll do signage and messaging on the signs of other capabilities wherever those signs are within the organization. Then something we also do is tips and tricks in training materials within the Azure video portal. So that's something globally that can be consumed by our audiences. And one thing we always start with is the Microsoft Fast Track. We'll always look at those materials and use them out of the box wherever we can, just because it accelerates and lessens the burden on the team. Or we'll make minor adjustments where it's applicable to our company. So looking at our organization across the board, one of the first things I did when I found out the content pack was available is I loaded it up, and for the first time, I wasn't jumping all over the place. I wasn't going into web trends. I wasn't going into the other portal. I had real insights, and I get very passionate about that because it gives me useful information that I can then do things with. So as you can see here, it's very much of a global engagement here. Some parts of the world we don't do business in, but where we do, we have pretty good engagement across the board. Going into our mobile workforce, how are they actually using and consuming our services? This was extremely insightful for me. So as I started looking across this service offerings, and I started looking at, well, I made some assumptions going into it. You always assume, are your Exchange users coming in on OA? Are they mobile? What kind of mobile are they coming in with? Are they mainly web-based? How are they using them? Well, this information right here really allows us to see that we have a variety in the audience, and now if we want to change that behavior, we can actually build a campaign and start to socialize different ways that people can engage with the service. It's not that necessarily that we have to do it, but we have an opportunity, and the data actually allows us to take a step back and drive behavior change within the org. So taking it another step deeper, if I start looking at activity by service, and mind you, we just finished up some of the services with all the churn and everything else in the background here, we're still seeing tremendous value in this data as we go forward. And if I start looking at this, I can now look across each of the workloads and I can start to see activity by workload. And again, it allows me to then drill in deeper. I can even go into the super users and drill down as deep as I need to in that information in order to see what else do I want them to do? Am I getting the value out of all of my services? Do I need to do training? What barriers are in place that are inhibiting my customers from really taking advantage? In my world, I want to see 100% engagement across all services that we offer. That would be ideal. Probably not realistic, but ideal. Over on the right side then, it starts to show me how much data is flowing in these services. What am I really looking at? What's the engagement layer? Do we have a lot of activity? And of course, according to these, I see a lot of opportunity for improvement across the board within the services. So just taking the raw data itself previously gave us a lot of impressions about what we were doing, but it didn't give us very much useful insights. It kind of gives you a high level, yeah, okay, I have this many users enabled and this many users are using it, but I don't really know who they are, where they are, or what they're doing. So really taking this information in the content pack, getting very fresh updates allows you to quickly iterate your processes and drive continuous engagement there. So one of the things that we did here within the adoption pack, it was released on May 17th, and I probably went in there on May 17th. I don't know, I was pretty excited about it. And I went in and loaded it up, and we always thought that we had huge adoption on OneDrive. Over 90% adoption rate on it. Turned out the data was misleading. What the data actually showed us, and we actually found this when we split our two corporations as well, but what the data is really showing us is people are creating their My Site, but they're not really using their OneDrive. So one of the things that we were able to do is immediately develop and build a campaign around that, an awareness campaign. Start using OneDrive. In the first campaign that we've ever done on this, we effectively doubled the usage. And we're still seeing, as you can see on this graph, that usage is climbing very quickly. So that's something that we're going to keep on working with our organization on to keep building. And that was one of the areas where we're now able to highlight that as an area and then build the awareness and really drive that adoption to where we want it to be. So some key takeaways. Understand the metrics and establish your baselines. For me, that may have been web trends. It could have been the other usage data. It was the population within our organization versus the number of users. Going forward now, I'm able to look at that information in a different way. I'm actually able to look at different regions, different groups, and target those audiences differently to drive that engagement. It's not a one-size-fits-all anymore. Really leverage the tools and the fast-track materials that Microsoft provides. There's a lot of great information out there. It's in multi-languages, and it'll allow you to really pull that data forward and really accelerate your adoption rates within your organizations. Be aware of your data insights too. Drill into the data, know it. In my world, I can go into anybody's office, whether it's the CFO, the CIO, whoever it is. If they ask me about the platform, I know the data. I can tell you how many users are on it. I can tell you the use cases. And I pride myself on that because I'm responsible for the service. I should really understand how it's being used. And then also understand the environment, the culture you work in, and their readiness for change. Don't assume just because you can turn it on that they will come and they will use it. I mean, you have to understand what the business is focusing on. It's outcome-based, and then understand how your tools can drive in and help them become more productive or efficient. And then really focus on your high-value areas. What's hurting in your organization? What are you struggling with? What can these tools actually deliver value in? And focus there. Get that quick win. And so one of the things that, as I part you here today is look for the quick wins. Don't try to hit it out of the park on the first swing across all the services. And then really get your footing around your processes with these tools and then continue to build on that as you go forward. So thank you.
Thanks so much, Scott, for sharing your journey with us. It's incredible to see the progress they've made from focusing on migration all the way into owning adoption of Office 365 in their organization. I actually have to tell you this, Scott. Listening to you actually is getting goosebumps. It is so humbling to see the impact of the hard work that we've been doing back in our offices, to see the impact it's making in your real lives and how you run your IT organizations. It's amazing. And I want to just give a quick shout out to my entire engineering team back who's going to listen to this eventually, but this is really compelling and interesting. So for the last 18 months to 24 months, we've been releasing a lot of new insights, visibility around more and more services in the Office 365 admin portal. And you saw Anne's slide of all the reports that we've been releasing. I actually think we've made a Disney out of the admin experience with the reports. You know why? Because each time you look at how much investment Disney makes in all their new theme parks, you have to come back to it every time. You feel like it's been about a few months or so, or a year, and we have to go back there. We're making the admin reports almost similar. You have to, every time you visit the admin portal, go back and check out the reports, because who knows what new reports we've released since the last time you visited there. With that said, let me show you what we're here to announce at Ignite today. So we have a new report reader role available in the admin portal today. What does that mean? Today, the capability that we've released for reports is available only to global admins or product admins. We chose to do it this way because the data that we're providing in the reports comes with a lot of responsibility, and we wanted to make sure that that data was available in the right hands. You know, to make the information actionable, we do provide information about the user level activity, and so we wanted to kind of make sure that there was a privileged access to this information. But we received a lot of feedback that this was making it a little bit difficult for the people that actually needed to have access to this data. People with non-admin profiles who needed this data in order to really drive the change in their organization. And so what we've done is basically enabled a new role in the admin portal that will allow a user with this role to be able to come to the admin portal and get a read-only experience. And what that means is basically they'll be able to only see usage reporting information and other read-only data, like on the users and groups and things like that. You can only see the user's information. But you can't configure any aspect of any services. So let me show you that. So what you're seeing here is the admin portal experience for a user who's signed in with the report reader role only. And so let me show you that by first showing you what that role really looks like. So I'm logged in as Shilpi SRR. I'm going to quickly search that role, that user here, and you can see that on the roles that's assigned to me, I only have the reports reader role assigned to me. And I'm going to walk you through the entire reporting experience to see what this user is going to be able to do. On the left lab, we've basically stripped away everything that this user should not be able to configure. And in fact, this user is not going to be able to even change the reporting setting that is about the anonymization of the user identifiable string. That is still a global admin task in the admin portal. But when you come to the reports, you get a full view of the usage of all of the services, which is pretty much the main usage report section in the admin portal. And what you're seeing here is the dashboard that gives you a cross-workload view of the high-level summary of all services in Office 365. So that's announcement number one. Next, I'm going to talk about the new reports we're going to be launching. We're going to be here in this dashboard. You can see new report information about Microsoft Teams. So on the main dashboard, we've brought in a new tile for Teams, where we give the high-level information about how much chat messaging and information is activity is going on across all teams. And then we also give you the ability to see how many users have been enabled for Teams, as well as how many of them are actually using it. And so when you click on the tile, just like the all other sections of the dashboard, you're able to get into a detailed user activity report around Teams. And again, here at the top level, you get a summary of the activity that's going on in terms of how many people are exchanging chat messages in team channels, or how many people are having private chat conversations one-on-one with people within the team product. How many of them are placing calls through Teams, and how many of them are actually attending meetings from Teams. And then we have another notion that says, what are people doing in Teams, which is a category of others, which is other client interactions with the team product. And then just like usual here, we also show you the number of users that are doing that activity, and you can see how it's been catching up in terms of the amount of activity, the number of users that are using this product. We're also going to be bringing in a new report on what apps are people using to connect to Teams. So are people using the web browser to connect to it, or are using the various apps on each of the OSs? And here, of course, it sees that people are using mostly Windows to be able to connect to it. Like I said earlier, we are continuously adding more reports. We'll be bringing in a report on how many teams exist in your organization and how many of them are active. And so we'll bring some of those notions as well. But over the last quarter or so, we've also really done several updates to the reports. And so what we've done is, let me talk very quickly about a couple. We've released the SharePoint activity report several months ago, but recently we updated the definition of active usage within the SharePoint reports, which now, in addition to the file activity actions, it also includes the users that have viewed a page in the SharePoint sites. And earlier we were only limiting to group and team sites, but now we've brought in information of any file activity or page viewings on all site types. So just wanted to land that with you guys, because it's a definition change, which means you're going to see a bump in your charts in terms of usage and the amount of activity that's being generated. And I also want to walk you through the updated groups activity report, because we earlier released this report with just group mailbox activity information, but we recently updated that report with insights about how much file activity is going on in the site that's associated with the group, as well as if the group is associated with Yammer, then how many messages are happening in the Yammer group that's connected to this. So as you can see, we are continuously making improvements and updates to these reports to bring you higher optics on the availability, on the activity of these entities in Office 365. And the goal is that you should be able to use this data to be able to really drive your day-to-day actions in terms of, if you're looking to do lifecycle management on groups, you can look at this data to see how many groups are active, or if you're managing users, you want to see what information we have in our system about the activity of users. How many of you, I know a whole bunch of you raised your hands when you were using, that you're using the Office 365 Adoption Content Pack. Scott mentioned we released it in May. It's been a huge success. The Office 365 Adoption Content Pack in Power BI has actually been the fastest instantiated content pack in the history of Power BI. Thanks for that. And the Office 365 Adoption Content Pack in Power BI does have a very high usage numbers as well. So we're very humbled. It's it's a product that was very anxiously being rated by everybody, and so we've seen that uptick in the usage. But guess what? We actually, in the history of branding a product, we probably chose the longest name possible for this product. So you saw how Scott also started referring to it as the adoption pack, because who wants to call it Office 365 Adoption Content Pack in Power BI? That's like, it takes away a lot of energy, but I have to always call it that. So today, I am actually going to announce a rebranding of the Office 365 Adoption Content Pack in Power BI. And we're actually calling it Office 365 Usage Analytics. Simple. Simple and intuitive. And we're not just going to rebrand it. We're going to add a lot more capabilities to it. But we're going to announce that this is going to be available in GA early 2018. And at that time, it will release as the Office 365 Usage Analytics, and we will bring in a lot more metrics to it in addition to the reports and information that it packs today. So let me give you a sneak peek of what it is going to look like. So here, a simplified branding. So we have our name in there. But at the same time, we have a few new reports and metrics and visuals here. Same sections, you'll see the information about communication and how your organization is using Exchange, Skype, or Yammer, or other products to be able to communicate. But we'll also bring in information about how your organization is working together in teams or engaging in other group activity by bringing in information and insights about Microsoft Teams, Office 365 groups, Yammer groups, and we'll bring it all together so you can actually understand which of these products are actually more popular in your organization and how they stack up against each other depending on what's relevant for your organization. So let me just touch a little bit on the metrics we'll have. At a high level, you'll be able to see how many users are active, what type of activity is going on within Teams, and specifically specifically looking at the rate at which private messaging versus channel messaging is changing gives you an indication of, are people mostly working together one-on-one and getting their jobs done, or are they actually working in teams and working together on concepts and ideas? And then we'll also bring information about how many teams do you have in your organization and how many of them are active. Similarly, we'll have information about groups and Office 365 groups. So let me click on one of these and actually take you into some of the detailed reports that we'll have in that section. So here what I'm showing you is the trend at which you've got your users that are getting enabled for Teams and how many of them are active. But at the same time, we'll also show you how many groups are getting created and how many teams are getting created and how many of those teams are active in your organization. And then as usual, we'll always be able to show you the split of how many users what types of activities are people engaging in. And we'll keep the same metrics consistent between how we show it today in the reports as well as what we bring in the adoption content pack. I also want to show you the updates to the groups report, where we'll be able to show you not just how many groups are active in your organization and how many exist, but in terms of, are they mostly being used for using group messaging, or whether they're active in SharePoint or in Yammer, and kind of give you a complete picture of what parts of groups are being used and how much activity is getting generated. But most importantly, we'll also give you an ability to be able to slice and dice, because you can have groups of different types, public or private, and you'd want to be able to see if the difference in behavior of usage is different based on the group type. And then we have also the information about Yammer groups in here, which will be able to tell you how many Yammer groups do you have today in your organization, how many of them are actually connected to an Office 365 group or not. And then we'll also be able to tell you how many of them are public versus private, and you can slice and dice based on all of these pivots to be able to really understand where the usage is coming from. So let me go back to the main dashboard page, and then we'll continue on bringing in some of the other metrics that we have for collaboration on documents as well as Office activation, and bring in, this actually is my favorite chart, and I do not ever exit the demo of Content Pack without talking about this, of the usage analytics, where we show you what users are engaging in and which products are they actually using more, what combination of the Office 365 suite is popular with your organization, and it helps you understand the usage between the various existing products, and we'll also bring in Teams into it. So just wanted to bring that notion out. And as usual, you would also be able to do a lot of analysis by some of the pivots on departments and other aspects like that. So yeah. And if you thought our announcements were done, no, we've got more. So we've got one last announcement. For those of you that have been using our beta reporting, the beta endpoint of the graph reporting APIs, I want to announce that today we will be launching these graph reporting APIs into production, and you will now be able to use these APIs to start building your solutions or whatever else you were planning with our beta APIs. What this does is this allows us to be able to fully deprecate the old reporting web service and commandlets that came with it. Anybody still using any of the old reporting web service or the commandlets? Thank you. You can start using our production APIs, please. Because we will, after this quarter, we will stop supporting any of those commandlets and those reporting APIs. You will be pointed to these graph APIs. They're now available in production, which means you can start building against it. But there's more. So today, the production API is going to be able to allow you to download the data in one CSV file. So it's information just like our UX behaves today. So if you go into the Office 365 reports, you export the data, you get the details of all your users in one export, the same way that the API does that as well today. But in order to make your development experience even more easier, what we're going to do is we're going to add another endpoint that returns back data in JSON. So that with full OData support, because that just enables you to be able to paginate through through the data set that's being returned and things like that. So we are going to, we will push the CSV endpoint into production, but at the same time, we're going to launch the JSON endpoint in beta. So you will be able to start exploring some of that as well, and then eventually in a few months, we'll shift that into production as well. So graph APIs, if you're excited with the data that we have in the products and want to be able to do your own custom development against it, you should be able to go against this and start programming. Over to you.
So a lot of announcements, a lot of new functionality that we're adding to our package of Office 365 usage reporting. So we've put together like a little or a big roadmap that gives you an overview of when all of this functionality will become available. Two things to call out: the report reader role that Shilpi showed you, that is available in production today. So you can go into your admin center today and assign it to somebody. The Microsoft Teams usage report that you're all waiting for, you have to wait a little bit longer, but really not long. They will start to roll out. You should all start seeing them in about 2 weeks. So they're coming really, really soon. And then the new version of the content pack, at that time, it will be called Office 365 Usage Analytics. That will become available at the beginning of next year. With that, we would like to thank all of you, of course, and we would like to invite you to join us tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, we have another session where we will give you a sneak peek at some of the advanced usage analytics functionalities that we're currently working on. So we'll show you some of the concept of where we want to take usage analytics in Office 365 in the next year. So please join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. But I'd also like to ask you, before we open it up for Q&A, I'd really like to ask you to fill out the evaluation form for the session today. No matter if you have good feedback or bad feedback, we won't be mad at you. Well, maybe a little bit. No, seriously. We read every single feedback that we get, and we put a lot of work into this session, so we'd really appreciate your feedback. And if you want to get a summary of all the things that we talked about today, simply go to aka.ms Office 365 usage reporting, actually an AKS link that you can remember. So go to that link. That will take you directly to our blog post that we pushed out this morning that summarizes everything that we talked about today. With that, thank you very much for your time, and we'd like to open it up for Q&A. If you have any questions, please just walk up to one of the microphones, and we're happy to answer them.
And questions for us or for Scott?
There's a question over there. Yes. Is the mic on? Should be.
Test, test. So I had a quick question. It seems like some of those reports you can get pretty granular. I mean, some of the individual user reports clearly get pretty granular, but I was wondering if you had the capability through the reporting API to pass in like a group ID, so you could get reports specific for a group and its associated site and its associated team. Because it seemed like the reports that you had were at the organizational level with group adoption. And I think it'd be really great if we could see, okay, this specific group and its associated site team, had this much activity. And does the API enable that?
Yeah, we're planning to do that. It's on our backlog.
Okay, cool.
As soon as we do the work for JSON enabling the APIs, it will make it easier as well. So that's the thing we're going to do.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Hello. Thank you very much. You guys are amazing. Is there a chance that in the future there may be a way to sort of get an aggregated look at this data across every one of your customers who may be using it, to give some of your especially newer customers at least some sort of baseline as to see what's going on either in their industry or just overall in terms of usage? I understand there's probably a lot of hurdles to making something like that happen. Any chance?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We're definitely considering it. In fact, if you're free at 4 o'clock tomorrow, you should come for our session tomorrow.
I am now free at 4 o'clock.
So more on that question at our session tomorrow.
Thanks.
Yes. Now, everybody who wants an answer to that question has to come for our session.
I guess my question is, how's the exporting functions? I have a lot of reports that I have to give to different supervisors and directors, and I just wanted to see a little more, or I don't know if that's going to be in tomorrow's session, on how it looks from exporting like to a CSV or to another type of format, maybe even a PDF. How does that look?
So in the admin reports, in the admin portal today, every report is exportable. So there is an export link right on top of the grid, the user detail section. Right on top is an export, which actually exports the entire detailed section in a CSV file.
Okay.
So you should be able to do that, and if not, our Graph APIs will also enable you to do exactly that.
Perfect.
So if you want to programmatically do that, you can use the Graph APIs.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any plans to have users reporting for the connectors to the services, like DocuSign, Concur, to see what connectors are to be used?
Our backlog is extremely long. I'll add it to the backlog, but I don't have it yet. We'll take this one and then.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the presentation. So just one small question. In future, is there going to be any automation facility? Like, for instance, if I want a schedule, like, every week, the report should come instead of me clicking on share download.
That is actually a request that we've heard from a lot of you. Like the admin center, not all of you go there on a weekly basis, or sometimes you just forget to go there every month. And many of you have shared that you would like to get an email with that information on a monthly basis. It is something we're looking into. We don't have a timeline yet, but it is definitely something that we're driving.
Thank you.
As you mentioned, the user details in Exchange might not always be up to date. Are there any plans to use the SharePoint user profile service so that we can get details from there and maybe slice and dice by more user profile characteristics?
Yeah, before I answer that question, can folks please come to the front of Mike? I absolutely cannot see you guys because of the light. I'm so sorry.
Would just be nice to put a face to the question. So anybody who else, please just come to the mics in the front.
Let me see if I got your question right. You're saying, is there any plans to bring in more user profile information?
Yeah, from the SharePoint user profile service, where we've got a richer source of information on our users. So we might be able to slice and dice by...
Give me an example of the user profile data.
By grade, by division, by business location.
Yeah. So today's answer for that is that we do bring that information into the usage analytics content pack that we have. We do bring in departments, user location, and user company, but that's a few pieces, that's not all. And then if you're putting that data somewhere else and you're expecting to bring it all together. Today, the answer to that is that it's possible, but with a little customization from your side, because you take the data from our APIs and then you join it with other data sets that you can bring into Power BI. and then you do the massaging yourself. We do have plans to actually provide you an easier way to get that, but you have to come to our session tomorrow at 4 o'clock. I'm sorry, I'm just putting it. Yes, we've heard that feedback. There's a lot of interest in there. You should come and hear our plans and give us feedback if that's meeting your needs or if there's still a remaining aspect.
So we're looking into it, but it's something that we won't be able to explain to you in 30 seconds here right now. So tomorrow, if you're interested in what we're working in that area, yeah, just join us for the session tomorrow. But the answer in general is yes.
Yeah, we've got a solution in place, like you just mentioned, where we get a dump of the user profile properties and merge that.
That's the only way possible today. Yeah.
Thanks.
And we want to make it easier for you and others.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, just a quick question. So we've got, you get some reporting out of Yammer at the moment, which is something that our technical team come out with, and they provide a number of reports on how that's being used. And what we do find is that it doesn't match up with what comes out of the adoption pack. And I don't know whether you use the same kind of technology behind it to pull those reports, but we do find there's a bit of a conflict between two, and I don't know if that's ever been noticed or whether it's just us not doing it right.
So the data is all coming from the same single pipeline.
Okay.
It's all processed once. But if you look at it, there are some differences. The information in the admin reports is at a last 7, 30, 90, 180-day aggregation. So it's a slightly different set of days that we count and aggregate, versus in the content pack, what we do is exact month boundaries. Right. And so that should make the data be in the ballpark in the same range. It cannot be off by a lot. Yeah. But if you're seeing this specifically in the Yammer case, do send us an email. There is an interesting element about Yammer where the way we count the users that are connected to Office 365 versus not may have some issues, and so we're happy to investigate and see if there's a data issue there.
Let me just give you my business card so you can just follow up with us.
We'll take one question here and then one here.
All right. In regards to the report role, are there any plans to increase the number of the reports that are visible to them, particularly like Exchange reports where there's known or logins from unknown locations and things like that? I don't know if it was on there. I didn't see it.
So there is no information on, did you say in terms of login information?
Yeah, like when somebody's logging in from an impossible location.
Yeah, we don't have that data in the Exchange report. So unless you're...
That's more like security compliance.
Yes.
Yeah. Is there plans to bring that in there at all?
Yeah, so the way to think about it, the reporting role, it will only give you access to the usage report section, nothing else. Okay. The security and compliance aspect, it needs a security reader role to it. So if you have given the same user both of these permissions, then they can see it. But if you've given a user only the usage, the reports reader role, they will not be able to see any of the where a user is logging in from. That's a security report.
The scenario that you just described, actually, Advanced Security Management, ASM, that is one of the solutions that we have in the security area that can help you exactly with that scenario.
Advanced Security Management?
Advanced Security Management. Okay. And we have several security sessions here. Okay. And I'm also, you should go to the Expo session. There's a security booth there. They will be able to help you with more information as well.
Thank you.
But to answer your question, the reports reader role will have access to all reports in the usage report for all products. Okay. So we will not slice and dice that, because the idea again is this is for the people that are trying to drive adoption of the various services, and we don't want to just give them, we don't want to slice and dice that information in any way.
And we wouldn't be able to do that either if we didn't want them to see some parts of it and some parts not.
Yeah.
It's all or nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any data around the usage of external users, in particular around SharePoint pages and documents?
Yeah, we've heard that request. We've actually added it to our backlog.
Okay.
Which means it's
somewhere.
not that far, but still far. Okay. But yeah, it's on our radar.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yes.
All right, quick question here. Hopefully it has been asked already. Do you have any solutions around hybrid environments? So like a lot of times we'll show usage for Skype for Business, and we have an on-prem solution, and our CIO would like to see all that data aggregated together. Is there any solution there?
Not in the admin portal. In the content pack, in the Office 365 usage analytics, You might be able to do it with some customization on your own.
Yeah, on your desktop.
Yeah, by going through the Power BI desktop scenario where you actually connect to our APIs, bring down the service usage information, and then whatever other data source you're using for your on-prem Skype data sources, you can bring them in together. But it'll require customization on your side.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Hi, Shilpi. I am. To make it short, my company made various merge acquisitions, and they are continuing to make this. So as a result, we have some users who started to use Office 365 4 years ago, and some others 1 year ago, or they're just discovering the services, or they will be migrate. But on the report, some data are already aggregated. That means you have an overview about the whole adoptions, but if you want to break down per department, per country, at given stage, it starts to be complicated because data are already aggregated. And as a result, we're using API to rebuild what you did, but with more details, because we need to zoom on some specific area to know exactly where we are. To use schedules to increase the granularity within the report, the out-of-the-box report.
Yeah. So come to my session at 4 tomorrow.
I will.
Now I sound like a but we've heard that feedback. It is so the way we do the adoption content pack today, it is a service content pack, and it comes that Power BI. It's a free technology that Power BI offers, but it comes with a little bit of a scale restriction. And so what we've done is we've schematized the data that we release on the content pack in a way that we can actually conform to that data restriction on Power BI side. So we have to have like a data set that fits into 1 gig of compressed data as well as 20-minute refresh time, which makes a lot of providing that drill down ability into the last 12 months of activity data makes it completely impossible to fit into that technology. Yeah. So we've heard the feedback because people do want to be able to drill down and see the movement across these various user properties, the various user metadata. And so what we're trying to do is come up with a new solution that will actually help customers solve that in an easy way.
This is something you will discuss tomorrow.
Yes, and we'll talk about it tomorrow at the session.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Yes.
Hi, great presentation.
Thank you.
How does the reports handle shared mailboxes? Can we get specific reports for shared as well as normal users?
Yeah. We've heard that feedback as well, and we've added it to our backlog, but our backlog is getting so huge that it is not being able to come all the way up.
Okay.
But we've heard about it, and we're trying to find ways to do that.
Okay.
Shared mailboxes, DLs, we have a lot of those asks, and we're trying to figure out a way to actually bring that in.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any plans of add-in or solution-related usage?
Yeah. Coming really soon.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's not on my backlog. It's actually
okay, and it will be part of APIs also, right? So
yeah, everything. Every report we provide will always have a corresponding API associated with it.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, Office add-ins, right? From an yes.
Yeah, the SharePoint and Office add-ins.
Yeah. We're certainly focusing on Office add-ins. I will go back and take a look at SharePoint add-ins as well.
Okay.
Apps, right? Yeah. We'll take one question this side.
With the Skype usage report, we think that the data for PSTN-only meetings is being missed.
Yeah.
So that they're providing a PIN, which means there's authentication, but they're showing 0 usage across the board.
On the PSTN reports?
Yeah. Within the Skype usage for the organizer. Yeah. And we disabled a few people that we didn't think were using it.
Yeah. I'll take that feedback. It's not yet on our single pipeline, and so that data is not coming from the same pipeline as this, just the PSTN reports. But I'll take that feedback back to the team and see if they can.
So they're hosting, right? And they since it's a voice-only meeting, they had to use their PIN, but that's not being captured.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
2 quick questions. Do the GA dates for the new and revised reports, as well as the usage analytics rebranding, does that also cover government tenants? Sometimes the features are
a little lagging.
Slide a little for us.
Yeah. We've got the GCC government clouds. I don't know which, is that what you're talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The GCC community cloud,
We are mostly all available in the government clouds.
Oh.
Yeah.
So what you posted up there should also cover. Okay.
Yeah, everything that Anne talked about in her section of the adoption content pack, all the usage reports should all be available in the government clouds. If the service itself is available.
Not all the services.
Yeah, of course,
Right.
of course, of course.
And then is there any plans to customize what you can consider as an active user?
What do you mean?
I think like from the main reports you can do, it's 30, 60, 180 days. I mean, I guess maybe teachers, they could be on sabbatical for a year. So you wouldn't want to consider them not active to free up their license.
If they're on vacation, they're probably not active, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We don't take them off. I mean, the idea is unless you delete a user, they don't phase out of our system. So we still count them as enabled users, but not active. Is that,
Okay.
does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so only your action of deleting a user phases off that user out of our system within 180 days. But if your user is assigned to a license and has gone on vacation and has not returned for the last 6 months, they will still show up in the long list of users that are enabled to use the product but are inactive, because they are inactive, right?
They're inactive, but in our case, we wouldn't want to unlicense them.
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't do anything to unlicense anybody. The action of how you use this information and what you do after that is, so if you know, like, yeah, Shilpi's on vacation, so you're not going to take away Shilpi's license just because Shilpi's been inactive. But that information is known to you. Does that make sense?
Skype usage, is there reporting down to the detail of when users are active or in meetings or inactive or idle?
In meetings?
You mean if they join a meeting and they won't be, they might actually walk away from their laptop and have the meeting running?
Well, I'm more looking for remote users to see if they're active or idle, just logging at the beginning of the day and then go watching TV for 3 hours.
Oh, to see their status, their Skype for Business status.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Is there any reporting like that?
No.
No. Okay.
Not yet, at least, and it's nowhere on my backlog.
we have not heard that request yet. But it's an interesting scenario that you're thinking about there.
Hello. So first off, thank you for the presentation. We have a good grip on usage, I feel like, with the existing product that you have. I wanted to talk more about kind of how these things are being accessed. I don't know, it's a bit weird, but a situation came up recently. We wanted to see, for mail, for example, like who's using EAS or who's using EWS. There's different, or POP or IMAP, and like what clients they're connecting on. There's like, every client has a user agent string and so do browsers. I don't know if that type of data is available, but we wanted to kind of track people who are using desktop versus mobile and then how those people are connecting on each platform.
So we have information today already, a report about email apps. So if your users are using Outlook or OVA or Outlook Mobile, etc. And we've popped in a couple of protocols in there as well, IMAP and POP3, some of the but what we want to do at some point is clean that up and actually give you a protocol report itself which says how many people are coming through EWS, EAS, and some of that.
Yeah.
We just haven't gotten to it, but it is an ask, and it is something that we're thinking about.
Okay, perfect.
To clean that up, because today what we've done is we've just kind of jammed those two things into one report, and it's not intuitive, and the way you think about it is protocols versus clients.
Cool, very good. And with EWS, it's such... the more I've kind of dived into this, the more I've come to realize how many different things actually utilize EWS.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's possible to really, like even MacMail, for example.
Which is why we haven't done it, because it's extremely hard to kind of really, if you bring in EWS activity, it skyrockets. I mean, there's so many of our own internal products that actually go through EWS that you have, the only way to contextualize that data is to sort of then say, to do what, like coming via what path, right? And so that's all of that, cleaning all of that and getting you meaningful information.
Is there any way to access that data raw for ourselves so that we could parse it?
I don't know. There must be. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you'll have to look at what Exchange offers today to be able to see if there's any REST API there.
Very good. Thank you.
My organization is interested in Delve analytics that you get with E5 licenses, like this many people are multitasking and that kind of thing. Does your content pack have any overlap with that data, or do you know of a way to organizationally pull Delve analytics data? It seems like it's focused on one person. I log into Delve and I can see how long I was in PowerPoint last month.
Yeah.
But we're looking at it more organizationally.
Yeah, we've talked about bringing aggregate information about like all of what the same Delve Analytics like information at the all up tenant level, but we haven't yet really fully described what that looks like or internalize that. But yeah, it's a good feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cool. All right.
One more.
So nice presentation.
Thank you.
So one use case we had, like, we just want to see how many users, like a user, what kind of documents he downloaded and getting download history. So do you have any kind of out-of-box features for that?
How many documents people are downloading?
Yeah, just get a document download history.
You don't get that from the auditing pipeline today?
Auditing, but again, like, I need as a user, like, just give on site label anything, like no need to go to admin center for that.
I see.
Obviously I can get from admin center, but as a site owner, if someone wants to see, do you have anything to use for graph API?
So I'm making a guess here. It's certainly not on my radar right now. But if there's a SharePoint administration conversation, one of the sessions is there. You should probably take a look at what they're talking about and if there's information of that nature there.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if I'm. We certainly don't plan to sort of have like the detailed download history of documents and things like that.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.